Good morning. Welcome to the MIT Sloan webinar series for incoming MBA students. Thank you for joining this webinar brought to you by the MBA Program Office. We have worked in conjunction with colleagues from offices throughout Sloan to offer these summer webinars to help you prepare for opportunities and introduce you to relevant resources before you arrive at MIT Sloan. Today's topic is the core electives at MIT Sloan. My name is Katie Bertman, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. Presenting today is Maura Herson, Director of the MBA Program Office. Also with us today are MBA Program Office staff Dawn Peters and Sheila Canali, who will assist in answering any questions. Before we start, I'll briefly go over the process, then I'll turn it over to Maura. If you have questions during the presentation, we invite you to use the Q&A functionality to type in your questions throughout the webinar. Once the presentation ends, we'll be happy to answer all of your questions. Let's get started. Maura, thank you for being with us today.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome, MBA Class of 2020. It's exciting to be thinking about you arriving on campus in just a few short weeks, and there's lots of things to do between now and then, not the least of which is organizing your academics for the fall. So today I'm going to begin by going over the requirements for the MBA program, and then we're going to take a deep dive into the 4 core electives that are available to you, how they might fit into your academic program, how they might fit into any tracks and certificates that you're planning on taking. And then, as Katie said, we'll be open to answer your questions. I'm the Assistant Dean of the MBA program, and the other 4 pictures that you see on the screen in front of you are the advising team, led by Jennifer Marshall. And I've got Sheila and Dawn here with me today. And along with Chan and Jennifer, they serve as the academic advisors for all of you, once you arrive here on campus. They organize their advising by cohort. So you'll be assigned to be working with one of them, and they can support your academic journey through Sloan once you get here. Okay, so why don't we get started? So let's start with the MBA degree requirements. These are the basics of what you need to do to earn your MBA. You need to take your fall core classes, in addition to 144 units of elective credit over 4 semesters. You have to complete within those 144 units 1 class that's focused on leadership. In addition, each semester, in the middle of the semester, we pause classes for a week, and we have something called Sloan Innovation Period. You participate in that in fall and spring of your first year, and then either fall or spring of your second year. And those are a group of workshops. In the fall core, there'll be a short set of workshops focusing on leadership and ethics. In the spring and beyond, they're going to be longer, 3-day or longer workshops or action learning labs that focus more broadly on cutting edge topics and leadership relevant to your development as MBAs. You need to maintain a 4.0 out of 5.0 cumulative GPA. We're on a 5.0 system here at MIT. So that's a B average, and you need to have 4 semesters in residence at MIT Sloan unless you are in something like the HKS dual degree program. So that's what you need to do to earn your MBA. Let's move on now. So what is the core? The core are the 5 classes that you're going to be taking within your cohort. This is a lockstep set of classes that every MBA takes. Economics, data models and decisions, which is our statistics class, a communicating for leaders class that also includes a weekly communications lab, an organizational processes class, which includes a team project that's done by core team, and your financial accounting class. And everyone will take these classes. And in addition, you'll have the opportunity to elect for an elective and or a track during the fall semester. So let's talk more about the electives now. So we offer 4 electives for incoming MBA students: managerial finance, intro to operations, marketing, innovation, and competitive strategy. This will be posted after, so you can come back to this, this catalog description if you'd like, but we have more information coming up on each of these electives as well. So the core elective option, most important thing is nobody's required to take an elective. If management education is new to you, if you're coming from a field well outside of this and you feel like just focusing on your core is what you'd like to do, by all means do that. We do get about 10% of students who choose not to take an elective class in their fall semester. Everybody is allowed to take a single elective, but no more than that. You can only choose from these 4. They're all offered each semester, so you don't have to worry about picking one over the other in your first semester. And usually you want to optimize the choice that you do make towards any career choices and we can talk a little bit more about that later. But we do strongly encourage that if you haven't had a lot of management education before, or you haven't had a lot of real life experience, that in each of these 4 areas that you do try to take these sort of round out your MBA. We call them sort of the extended core classes. You do need to record your preference of elective in the About Me tab on My Sloan. And if we don't have enough seats in any given elective, we will run a lottery for that elective, for the seats in that elective. In the past, we have done a reasonable job of getting most people what they want in their first choice, but some people may get a second choice as well. So make sure you're comfortable with both of the choices that you submit. Okay, and then you're gonna have until 2 weeks into the semester once you get here to change your elective. If you sign up for strategy and you decide, no, financial management's where I'd like to be, you can usually pretty easily move between electives. Okay, so how do core electives interact with tracks? And the tracks, we're going to have webinars on those later in the month, and I'll put up the dates in a little bit. But we offer 3 tracks in entrepreneurship and innovation, enterprise management, and finance. And as you can see here, there are different approaches that the tracks take to interacting with the electives. So E&I is kind of agnostic, take any elective you want or no elective. It's going to be a standalone class. The enterprise management track, however, does have an action learning component to it that will require you to have some expertise in either operations, strategy, or I would like to add marketing can also fulfill this requirement. In the finance track, obviously you're going to want to take managerial finance. However, if you have a strong background in finance and you're still interested in the finance track, we'll talk in a little bit. We do have a finance waiver exam that would allow you to pass out of 15401 and choose one of the other electives. Okay, so you're going to want to choose your tracks later this month. We're going to open up the track enrollment page tomorrow. And as I said, we're going to have seminars on those, webinars on those later in the month. Okay, so back to fall core electives. Here are the 4 choices that you have. I'm going to give you a minute to look over these descriptions. They're all extremely well taught classes. All of the departments offering these classes see these as gateway classes for you to move into their advanced electives. And so they put excellent faculty in these 101 classes. I'll give it about 10 more seconds on this page. I'll also come back to this page in a little while and leave it on there while we do the Q&A. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so as I said, the faculty, the departments that offer these courses do set them up as prerequisites for advanced electives. And it's really important to consider this as you're thinking through how you'd like to stage your semesters here. So finance is a great example. The finance class is the prerequisite for corporate finance, which is 15402, and then advanced corporate finance and mergers and acquisitions. So those all go in order. And so you really need to start with managerial finance in your first semester if you want to be able to get to the mergers and acquisitions and advanced corporate finance level. In terms of operations, a couple of our most popular electives here at MIT, advanced electives here at MIT Sloan, do require operations as a prerequisite. Marketing innovation is a class. I'll just make the note here. It's not necessarily a prerequisite for all the advanced marketing classes, but it has been completely rebooted with a new curriculum that was tested out this past spring. And so it is coming back into the core semester with some new material, and it's going to be very well taught. And then competitive strategy. This is not necessarily a hard elective for all the advanced strategy classes. If you're interested in entrepreneurial strategy, for instance, you don't necessarily have to complete competitive strategy to be able to do that. Okay, and then as I said, we're going to be having webinars if you're interested in the tracks. Those are coming up later this week and next week. And then we're going to be having more information about the certificates that are available to you in business analytics, healthcare, and sustainability. We'll be doing a live session once you get here on campus. The certificates, let me just make the note that you don't sign up for those over the course of the summer because there's nothing academically that starts in the fall for you as a certificate seeker. That will all kick in your second semester. So it's not necessarily critical that you start that over the summer. Okay, and I think we're ready for Q&A, Katie?
Sure, thank you, Maura. Now we'll start the Q&A. If you have not already done so, please include any questions you might have in the Q&A function. We will answer these in the order received.
And I'm going to move us back to that summary page about the electives, so you can read more about that.
One of the questions that has come up during the webinar is there a way to see which classes second semester has one of the core class as a prerequisite?
Yes, you can go to the website sloanbid.mit.edu and look on the course finder.
Someone else asked, are there any classes on Fridays? If so, what are schedules for those classes?
Yes, so there are, in the core, there will be a career core that are offered on some Fridays. Once you get outside, there are also recitations that could be offered on Friday. That will depend on the schedule. And then I think econ specifically and operations are offered on Fridays. And again, those times will depend on what cohort you're in. Then once you get outside of the core, some electives will be offered on Friday, and that's something that you can look at the schedule when you are at that point.
Another person has asked, will this and other webinars over the next 2 weeks be recorded and posted on the events archive page for future reference? I'll take that one. Yes, these are recorded and they will be placed in the same web page in which you had signed up to register for this webinar. They will be, each webinar will be available within 24 hours after it has concluded. Another question has come in, how do you sign up for a track and what is the deadline?
Yes, so the link for sign up for tracks will be available starting tomorrow in the checklist. There you have a link to a survey in which will allow you to select your track, and the deadline for it will be posted on the link as well. So just be checking your checklist for sign up for tracks.
Next question is, what if we're really only considering one of the 4 electives? Should we leave the second choice in the form blank or just repeat our first choice?
No, you should always put in a second choice. You will have, if you're only interested in the first choice and you don't get it, you will not, your second choice won't be considered again for the first choice. You should just fill in first and second, and then you can always drop the second one if that's something you're really not interested in.
If I choose a track, will that track force me to take a specific one of these electives?
Let me move back to that slide. Hold on a minute. Sugar. Let me see. Sorry about that. Here we go. No, I think I have to go back the other way. There we go. Here's a list that summarizes what the tracks would like you to do in terms of your core elective. E&I has no opinion on it. Enterprise management, operations, strategy, or marketing. I'll add marketing to that before we post it, but those are the three that they want you to take one of them, because you're going to be doing a project with a company that will require you to have expertise in one of those areas. And then the finance track, if you don't have any finance background, they highly recommend 15401 managerial finance.
Another question came up. In addition to the 5 core plus the 1 elective, would there be an additional class in the first semester if we elect a track?
Yes, there will. There'll be a once a week 2-hour pro seminar that'll run 4 to 6 in the afternoon for each of the tracks.
Christine has asked, the course list mentions cohorts. Will we know this soon?
Hi, cohorts are revealed during orientation, so you will not know about cohorts until you finally are attending your orientation week.
Do we need to sign up for fall classes this summer? If so, by when, and how do we sign up?
So part of the core is that we will automatically be registered for your core classes. We will do that with you in coordination with our partner office, Educational Services. The only thing that you do need to do this summer is select an optional elective if that's what you choose to do, and register for the track. And then those classes will get added to your registration.
Thank you. Is there a first year fall semester requirement for E&I track?
Yes, you'll add into the E&I track pro seminar.
Another question pertaining to tracks. Can you change your mind about a track, or are you stuck with it?
You're never stuck with anything here at MIT Sloan. In the first 2 weeks, you can shop around into the different tracks, and you can also choose not to complete a track. Just for perspective, about half of students choose to try a track. So there's definitely, it's not something that everybody does. We understand you're coming here for many different professional and personal reasons, and we want you to be able to personalize as much as possible.
Next question, do you have any simulation and or mock exam for the finance waiver exam?
The finance waiver exam, if you go into Sloan groups, into the preterm sign-up pages, the information is there. They do cover the topics that will be on the exam. We don't have necessarily a mock exam, but I believe we have some examples from old exams for you to look at.
Practice exams and and an answer key for you.
Perfect.
Can you change core elective after the first class?
Yes, you'll have the opportunity after you attend core elective to change to another one if there is space available, and you can do that after registration.
Someone has asked and made mention of some electives listed on MySloan do not match the course names exactly. Example, managerial finance seems to be written as Finance Theory 1. Can we assume they are the same?
Yes, those are the same, and you can look at the course number will be the same.
Christine asks, do the same professors teach the same electives each semester? Also, when will core syllabi get posted?
It's usually not the same professors because of teaching load would be too great for one person to teach the whole year. The core syllabi, are those going to be posted?
They're posted in Canvas, which I think you'll get access to
closer to the time you arrive. I would use this list. This is a summary list off of the syllabi.
How many classes do students normally take per semester?
Between 5 and 7. Once you get past your first semester, you'll also have in second semester and on, there'll be opportunities to take half semester classes. So it really varies by student and by what you want to do. If you want to take classes over on main campus at MIT or stay within Sloan, do half or full semesters.
And extracurriculars that you're trying to balance throughout the year.
Right.
This question asks, what is a recitation versus a regular lecture? Is attendance required for recitations?
Recitations are a supplement to your regular lecture. They are run by the teaching assistants. And the best way to explain it is to say that the faculty will go over the concepts. The teaching assistants will show you how to apply the concepts to problems. Attendance is not required, but highly encouraged, particularly if you have no background in that field.
Jonathan asks, how flexible can you be on choosing a track? For example, if you decide once term starts that you would like to change your track, would you be able to?
Yes, for the first 2 weeks, same as electives, you can switch your track. In general, there's room in the tracks to move back and forth. The only exception to that has historically been entrepreneurship and innovation, which tends to fill to capacity.
I might add to, say the following semester, you've completely changed your mind, and you might have been in one track and you've changed your career path and want to explore a different, maybe let's use, for example, maybe you're in E&I and now are more interested in finance. You wouldn't be able to join the finance track. However, you could still follow the path that others are taking with some of those course selections.
Can you provide the link to the website that lists all MIT Sloan course offerings?
Yes, we can add that once we post, but if you go to sloanbid.mit.edu, and on the left-hand side, you'll see course schedule and listing.
And there is a list to the course catalog in this deck.
Back further, yeah.
Yep, a little bit back, a few slides.
Yep.
At the bottom, there's a link to the course catalog where you can see not just Sloan classes, but all courses in MIT.
This person asks, when are schedules released? And I'm assuming by schedule, you mean for the core.
That's schedules for the core. They get released during orientation. You get a copy of your schedule during the orientation sessions.
Are you also taking questions on electives / curriculum in general, or just the core electives for now?
If you have any questions about the core curriculum, we'll be happy to answer that now. General curriculum during the time that you are here at MIT is maybe a topic better left for one-on-one with your advisor or later in the semester.
Another question asks, will track enrollment also be done via a lottery system similar to signing up for electives?
Track enrollment will not be done on a lottery system. In general, we are able to accommodate everyone who wants to be in a track. The exception to that is that in the past couple of years, there's been a small wait list for entrepreneurship and innovation, but we have been able to accommodate that wait list within the first week.
Hirsch asks the question, can you join a track later during second semester or second year, or switch tracks?
I think John addressed that before. You're not able to switch tracks. Although I would say talking with the track faculty director would help you to come up with an equivalent roadmap for yourself academically, and it may be possible for you to even move into some of the track-only activities, but within finance and within the enterprise management track.
For a consulting career, is there an elective that you would recommend taking first?
I think it depends on what your background is. I think strategy is the obvious choice for people interested in consulting. But if you have a little bit of a background in that area, finance or operations can also be deeply helpful and help you to differentiate yourself.
Another question asks, how many students complete a track?
Great question. Well, I told you we have about half of students try a track. We have about 26% of the student body that completes a track and earns a certificate.
I'm going to skip this next question because the one after it also involves tracks and says, what are the benefits of enrolling in a track?
So the benefits of enrolling in a track are, first, that in this first semester, you get a little bit of a head start on developing yourself, particularly if you're a career changer, to be able to signal interest through your resume that you are focusing in this area in sort of a concentration or a major type way. It also brings together all the people that have a common interest in that field or that area so that you can start to build a cohort of like-minded people. Some of the tracks will create listservs where they will pass on opportunities for conferences or work opportunities. So there's benefits of getting everybody together and a bit of a cohort effect.
Let me go back to the question previously that I had skipped. It asked, do we register for the core elective only through the About Me page?
That is correct, yes. You're going to select your first and second choice in the About Me page, and then you will find out your core elective closer to orientation. If, again, you change your mind and you no longer want that elective, if there is room to change, you can change with one of your advisors on registration day.
Please know that once you've made your selections, you can't, they will grade out and you can't change them.
In the About Me tab.
In the About Me tab. So,
for those of you who are taking the finance waiver exam, you may select you might have maybe selected finance as your first choice, and then you took the finance waiver exam and passed out, then we will put you into your second choice.
Can you please explain better where to find practice exams for the finance waiver exam?
So I believe they are within the Sloan Group event that is for the finance waiver exam. So if you've registered for that to take the finance exam, it should be under the materials page, but we can certainly double check on that and get back to, we'll get back to you guys with some more information.
We can add it to the deck before we post it.
Yeah.
If needed.
in addition to that information, if you look on your admit site, there is an announcement, something that says pre-orientation. In there, you'll find that information.
Hirsch asks, are the core electives assigned on first come, first served basis on when we indicate in the About Me tab, or are they assigned after the deadline?
No, they are assigned by lottery if there's an over-enrollment.
Can you audit classes? Is there a maximum?
In your first semester, you cannot audit classes. Beyond that, you can audit classes with the permission of the instructor. There's not a maximum.
Next question says, can we take electives outside of Sloan?
After your first semester, yes. You can take up to 3 electives, either at MIT or at any of the professional schools at Harvard as well.
For the first semester core, do we have to choose professors or a schedule, or are we assigned the core?
Your schedule will come with assigned professors.
And I'm going to go back to that one. Is Wall Street Prep available to finance track students only?
Wall Street Prep, as of this summer, will be available to all students at MIT Sloan.
This person asks, can I register 2 different tracks at the same time?
No, you need to choose one.
This person says, it was mentioned that students are strongly encouraged to take all 4 electives before graduating. Is this something typically done?
I think it depends on the student. If you come out of, let's say, financial services, you may not choose to take finance, but maybe the other 3 are new to you. We encourage everyone to take the content that they haven't previously seen before, and that's what will be expected in terms of your knowledge when you return to the marketplace.
This person asked, will there be a webinar on the Sloan bid process and rules?
So there won't be a webinar on Sloan bid process, but during pre-orientation week, Educational Services, who manages the bid system, will be doing a small event program to kind of review some of the different systems that they manage. But there will be an opportunity later in the fall to kind of review the process and the rules when you get ready to bid for SIP.
Another question has come in that says, for the second semester, what is the maximum number of electives students can take?
You can take up to 54 units of credit, and Sloan classes come in either 9 units or 6 units of credit. Usually there's the occasional that is 12 units. So whatever combination of those courses, you can take up to 54 units.
Someone had snuck a question into the chat, and it says, hi, for someone interested in both the E&I and EM tracks, how would you recommend approaching course selection?
I think E&I doesn't have an opinion about which of the electives you take, so I would look at the M track suggestions of strategy, operations, or marketing and choose one of those.
Those are all the questions that have come in. I'd like to still leave this open for another few minutes. If you guys are thinking about some questions or if something pops into your mind, please put it into the Q&A function. We'll be happy to answer that. So we'll leave this open for just another few minutes for you all.
And I would add that if anybody has any questions, I'm going to move us down to the contact page. If you have any further questions, you can write us an email at this address, and we will have one of the advisors get back to you. If you can help us a little bit with that, particularly if you're trying to decide between 2 electives or make a choice based on your background, give us a little biography of what you've done up till now and what you're hoping to do as you come into your MBA program, and that will help us get ready to talk with you.
A few more questions have popped in the meantime. Crystal asks, can I register for the finance waiver exam to get an idea of what gets asked and then later decide not to take the exam?
Sure.
The next person says, if I don't take a core elective in the fall, can I wait till the spring semester to do so?
Yes, you can.
And another question, if I audit a class outside of MIT Sloan, Greater MIT, or Harvard, does it count to the limit of 3 that I can take?
No, it will not. Those 3 are the 3 classes that you can count the units towards your MBA graduation elective.
I just want to add that during your core semester, you cannot be auditing classes outside Sloan, or just you are required to keep your schedule within the core and electives offered in the Sloan school.
Another question had come in, will a recording of this webcast be available online? Yes, this is being recorded and it will be available within the next 24 hours when this webinar has concluded. It will be on the same page in which you signed up for the webinar, so you can go back to that admit list on the site and click the link to view the webinar again. This question asks, what % of students take an elective first semester?
It's about 90%.
And I just wanted to follow up. I got some clarification on, for those of you who are interested in taking the finance waiver exam. So if you do register in Sloan groups to participate in the finance waiver exam, The practice exams are not posted yet, but they should be posted by the end of this week, and you'll see that if you register.
Emma asks, if I already indicated only one elective in my Sloan profile, will I be disadvantaged in the lottery or unable to potentially switch into another elective in the fall?
So if you choose just one elective and you don't get that choice, you'll have the opportunity to register your elective during registration day for any elective that has availability. You will not be at a disadvantage. It's just that you don't have a second choice. So we recommend that you actually do select two.
And remember, if you don't get your first choice and you're not interested in taking one during the core semester, you have 3 remaining semesters to take the rest of those core electives to round out your toolkit.
Another question has come in that says, I understand we're only supposed to take graduate level electives, but what if the graduate level elective required has 4 prerequisites? I'll never get there on time. And the undergraduate level one has 1 prerequisite. Can I take the undergrad version?
So that's a pretty specific question, and without knowing whether you're talking about Sloan classes or greater MIT classes, I would just generally say that first it kind of depends on what your background is, and sometimes you can talk with a professor and see if it's 4 hard prerequisites or if maybe some of your experience would waive those. If you do take an undergraduate level class, nobody's going to kick you out, but you also, those credits cannot be counted towards your MBA degree because they're not graduate level.
How many people are in the finance versus EM versus E&I tracks?
So usually we see the finance will be about in the 50s. track the past couple of years has also been about the 50s, and the E&I track 70s or 80s.
And this person asks, once we set elective preferences, can we still modify them before the July 27th deadline?
No, you cannot. Once you selected your preferences, they'll stay and you'll have the opportunity to change on registration day.
I'll leave this open for just another minute or two, see if there's any more questions that come in. So no other questions have come in at this time. Thank you, Maura. We hope this information on the core electives was helpful. Once again, if you have further questions, please reach out to the MBA Program Office. Please reach out to MBA Program Office at sloan.mit.edu. If you have any questions, it's there on the screen for you if you think of something later. And thank you for joining the MBA webinar, and we look forward to seeing you in August.